Build Yourself in Silence. The Hidden Law of Success. Written and published by Vox Reads. Introduction. The power of quiet growth. Silence. That's where your real power begins. Not in the noise, not in the applause, but in the quiet moments when no one is watching, and you keep going anyway. This book is about that power. The power that grows when you stop talking about your dreams and start building them in silence. It's about developing strength, focus and patience, the qualities that form the foundation of lasting success. We live in a loud world. Everyone is talking, everyone is posting, sharing, proving, but in the rush to be seen, most people lose sight of what really matters, becoming someone worth seeing. Building yourself in silence means mastering the unseen work. It means becoming disciplined when no one gives you credit. It means preparing quietly, while others are performing for attention. Success doesn't arrive with noise. It grows like roots, deep, steady, and invisible. And one day when it finally breaks the surface, people will call it sudden, but you will know the truth. It wasn't sudden. It was silent. In this book you'll learn how to make that silence your strength. You'll learn how to protect your focus from distraction. You'll learn how to build unshakable confidence from the inside out. You'll learn how to turn rejection, pain, and patience into your greatest teachers. Each chapter will guide you through a simple truth, that real success doesn't come from showing the world what you're doing. It comes from doing the work, even when the world isn't watching. This is not a book about quick wins. It's a guide for those who want to grow with depth, with discipline and with peace. It's for those who understand that silence is not emptiness. It's potential. So take a deep breath, step back from the noise, and prepare to discover the hidden law of success, the one that has been waiting quietly within you all along. Chapter 1. The Hidden Law. There is a truth about success that few ever talk about. It is quiet, almost invisible, and yet, it is the foundation beneath every lasting achievement. I call it the hidden law. It's the principle that says, everything great begins in silence. Before every breakthrough there is a period of stillness. Before every public victory, there is private preparation. And before anyone sees your success, you must first learn to see it in yourself. This is the law that successful people live by, often without realizing it. They don't chase validation. They don't announce every move. They simply work, quietly, consistently, and with purpose, until the results speak for them. The unseen foundation. Think about a tall building. When we look at it, we admire the design, the height, the view from the top. But what we don't see are the deep foundations buried underground. Those foundations took months to build. They required patience, planning, and precision. Only after that invisible work was done, could the building begin to rise. Your success is built the same way. If you try to rise before you build your foundation, you'll collapse under your own weight. But if you stay patient, if you do the work that no one sees, you'll create something that stands the test of time. That's what the hidden law is all about. The strength that comes from the unseen. The story of silent growth. Let me tell you a story. There's a type of bamboo that grows in a very unusual way. For the first 5 years after it's planted, nothing appears above the ground. Farmers water it, feed it, and protect it from pests. Yet the soil stays bare. Then in the 6th year, something incredible happens. In just a few weeks the bamboo shoots up more than 80 feet high. Did it really grow in those few weeks? Of course not. It was growing the whole time, just underground. Its roots were spreading, deepening and strengthening. When the time came, It grew faster and higher than anyone could imagine. That's the power of the hidden law. Growth often happens in ways others can't see. Your progress may look invisible for a long time, but that doesn't mean it isn't real. Why silence creates strength. In silence you learn discipline. When no one is watching, you face your excuses. You confront your weaknesses. You make choices that define your future. Without applause, without recognition. This private struggle builds character. It shapes you into someone capable of handling success. People who chase attention too soon often crumble when they finally get it. They rely on praise to keep going. And when that praise fades, so does their effort. But those who grow in silence don't depend on external validation. Their strength comes from within. They have built their roots deep enough to stay steady, no matter what happens around them. Real-world proof. Look at any great success story, and you'll see the hidden law in action. Before the athlete wins a championship, they spend years training in empty gyms. Before the artist paints a masterpiece, they create hundreds of drafts that no one ever sees. Before the entrepreneur builds a business empire, they endure quiet nights of planning, failure, and uncertainty. You never see those years of silent work, but that's where success is truly built. The spotlight only arrives after countless hours in the shadows. This is not just a poetic truth. It's a pattern that repeats across every field, every industry, and every generation. Those who build themselves in silence eventually command the loudest results. How to apply the hidden law. Let's bring this truth into your own life. Start by asking yourself one question. What am I building when no one is watching? That's your foundation. It's the work you do when there's no praise. It's the habit you practice when no one checks in. It's the self-discipline that no one can measure, except you. To live by the hidden law, you must protect your privacy. Keep your plans sacred until they're ready to be revealed. Not everyone deserves access to your early steps. Fall in love with the process. Enjoy the quiet hours. Learn to find peace in the repetition, in the effort that no one applauds. Measure growth internally. Don't look for instant results. Look for progress in who you are becoming. Stay patient. Remember the bamboo. Just because others can't see your growth doesn't mean it isn't happening. The moment you'll know, one day the results will appear, and it will feel almost sudden. People will ask, "Where did you come from?" And you'll smile because you'll know. You didn't appear overnight. You grew in silence just like that bamboo. Your results are not luck. They are proof of the law you've been living all along. Closing thoughts. The hidden law is not about isolation. It's about intention. It's about understanding that real growth doesn't need to be announced. It needs to be nurtured. The more you work quietly, the stronger your foundation becomes. And when the time comes to rise, nothing can stop you. So, as you move forward, remember this truth. Silence is not emptiness. It's energy, gathering strength. It's the birthplace of transformation. Keep building. Keep growing. Your silence is preparing the sound of your success. Chapter 2. The world doesn't need to know yet. There is a moment at the start of every dream, when your excitement is overflowing. You want to tell someone. You want to share your plans, your goals, your new vision for your life. It feels good to say it out loud, but here's the truth. Most people never learn. The more you talk about your dreams, the less energy you have left to build them. Every time you announce your next move, you release a small part of your drive. You exchange action for validation, and slowly, without realizing it, you begin to feed on approval instead of progress. That's why the world doesn't need to know yet. Not because your dream isn't worth sharing, but because it's still growing roots. And roots need darkness to grow. The power of the hidden stage. Every great work begins in private. Think of a seed. When it's planted, it disappears beneath the soil. It's not dead. It's developing, quietly, unseen, protected from the noise of the world. Your ideas, your goals, your plans, they are seeds too. They need time in the dark to take form. When you share them too early, you expose them to opinions, doubts, and distractions that can stunt their growth. People mean well, but even the smallest comment can plant uncertainty in your mind, and uncertainty weakens momentum. That's why protecting your early stages is not secrecy, it's strategy. The trap of early exposure. We live in a time when everyone feels pressure to share everything, every meal, every thought, every goal. We think that by announcing what we're doing, we'll stay accountable. But most of the time, the opposite happens. Studies have shown that when people talk about their goals, their brain releases the same satisfaction as if they had already achieved them. It tricks you into feeling accomplished, without doing the work. You might post your plans online, and feel proud for a moment, but then the energy fades, the motivation weakens, and slowly you find yourself talking more than doing. That's why the quiet ones often move the fastest. They keep their plans private. They let their results speak. And while others are busy talking about what they'll do, they're already doing it. A story of silent progress. There's a story about a young artist who dreamed of exhibiting his paintings in a famous gallery. At first he told everyone. He spoke with enthusiasm about his big plans, how he'd one day be known for his art. People praised him, encouraged him, and admired his ambition. It felt good, so he kept talking. But as the months passed, the praise became his reward. He felt satisfied without ever finishing his work. One day, an older artist took him aside and said, "Stop telling the world what you're going to do. Paint instead." The young artist listened. He withdrew from the noise. He painted for months in silence, sharing nothing. And when he finally revealed his work, it was so powerful that the same gallery that once seemed impossible invited him to exhibit. He realized something profound. Silence had done more for him than attention ever could. Why privacy builds power. Silence builds pressure. The good kind. When no one knows your plans, you have no one to impress, no expectations, no deadlines set by others. You can fail quietly, learn quickly, and grow freely. That freedom is powerful. It allows you to experiment without fear of judgment. It allows you to adjust your path without the world watching. And most importantly, it allows you to stay focused on what matters, the work itself. When you keep your goals private, your energy remains concentrated. It doesn't scatter across conversations, opinions or comparisons. It stays with you, fueling progress. The noise that kills vision. Have you ever noticed how fragile motivation can be? One negative comment can deflate a week's worth of confidence. One careless question can make you doubt everything you're building. That's why silence is protection. It shields you from unnecessary opinions and outside interference. You don't owe the world an explanation for your dreams. You owe yourself the space to make them real. The people who need to know will find out when the results are ready. Until then, keep building behind closed doors. Let curiosity replace announcements. Let mystery become your strategy. How to stay quiet, but confident. Living this way doesn't mean you must isolate yourself. It means you practice selective sharing. Here's how. Share your progress with people who earn the right to hear it. Those who support your growth, not those who drain it. Resist the urge to announce before you act. Do first, speak later. When you act before you talk, your confidence grows from evidence, not imagination. Keep your focus on the process, not the presentation. The world sees highlights. You must value the hidden work that makes those highlights possible. Remind yourself, privacy is power. Every time you stay quiet, you store energy for your next move. A lesson from the masters. Look at the most influential people in history. Inventors, leaders, creators. They all understood the value of silence. Leonardo da Vinci spent years studying anatomy, light and form before unveiling his art. He guarded his notebooks as if they were sacred. Steve Jobs disappeared from public view after being ousted from Apple. When he returned, he didn't announce his comeback. He simply launched products that changed the world. These people didn't broadcast their preparation. They used the quiet years to sharpen their vision. And when the time came to speak, their work spoke louder than words ever could. The moment to reveal. There will come a time when the world needs to know. When your work is ready. When your preparation has reached its peak. That's when you share. Not to prove something but to contribute something. You'll speak from strength, not from need. You won't be chasing validation. You'll be offering value. And when that moment comes, your silence will have made your voice stronger. Because it's not just what you say that matters. It's what you've done in the silence before you said it. Closing thoughts. The world doesn't need to know yet. Not because your dreams are small, but because they're sacred. They deserve time to mature. They deserve the quiet care of your commitment before the noise of recognition. Silence is not hiding. It's preparation. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to prove myself yet. I'm still becoming. So keep your plans close. Protect your process. And let your silence become your strategy. Because when your time comes, you won't need to announce it. The world will see it for itself. Chapter 3. The Art of Working in the Shadows. There is a kind of work that never trends. No spotlight shines on it. No one claps for it. It happens in the background, unseen, unnoticed, and uncelebrated. But that work, the quiet, invisible work, is the birthplace of mastery. It's what I call the art of working in the shadows. To work in the shadows means to grow without being seen. It means to improve, to struggle, and to learn, without broadcasting every step. It's a life guided by purpose, not performance. And those who master this art eventually outshine everyone who tried to impress too soon. Why the shadows matter. The shadows are where strength is built. They're the training ground for greatness. When you're away from attention, you're free to fail. You're free to try again. You're free to make progress without judgment. Attention, especially early on, can be dangerous. It gives you the illusion of success before you've earned it. But in the shadows, there are no illusions, only work, only truth. The shadows are not a place of weakness. They are a forge, where your character is shaped, your craft is refined, and your future is designed piece by piece. The lesson of the unknown apprentice. There's an old story about a young craftsman who wanted to become a master sculptor. He begged a famous artist to take him on as an apprentice. The master agreed, but under one condition. For the first 3 years, the master said, "You will carve stones that no one will ever see." The apprentice was confused. He wanted to display his talent, not hide it, but he obeyed. For 3 years he carved stone after stone in a dim workshop. No audience, no praise, no recognition. One day, the master took him to a massive cathedral under construction. He pointed to the foundation, deep underground, hidden from the eye. "Those are your stones. They hold up everything you see above." The apprentice suddenly understood. He hadn't been wasting time. He had been building the base upon which greatness would stand. That's the art of working in the shadows, creating the strength others depend on, long before they ever see your hand in it. The freedom of the invisible phase. When no one is watching, you are free to be real. You don't have to perform. You don't have to pretend. You can make mistakes without fear, and improve without pressure. This invisible phase is where your true identity forms. It's where you learn what you're capable of. It's where you earn your confidence, not from compliments, but from proof. The proof that you showed up every single day, when no one was keeping score. Working in the shadows teaches you resilience. It makes you stronger than the spotlight ever could. Because when your moment finally comes, you'll know that your success wasn't luck. It was built brick by brick in the dark. Real-world examples. Every great performer, athlete, and innovator has spent years in the shadows. Before Michael Jordan became a legend, he spent countless hours alone in empty gyms, shooting until his hands hurt. Before J.K. Rowling became a household name, she wrote in cafes with no money, no fans, and no guarantee of success. Before any musician fills a stadium, they spend years rehearsing in small rooms where no one claps. The world only sees the peak. It never sees the climb. But the climb is where greatness is forged. The shadows may seem lonely, but they are not empty. They're full of practice, failure, discovery, and quiet victories that build the foundation of public success. Why the spotlight can wait. When you rush into the spotlight before you're ready, the light can burn you. You become defined by others before you truly know yourself. You become reactive, always performing, always trying to meet expectations. But those who stay in the shadows build something different. They build roots so deep that when they finally step into the light, they don't bend under pressure. They don't need validation. They don't crumble under criticism. They've already faced themselves in silence, and that makes them unshakable. Patience is your protection. Preparation is your armor. Let others chase the spotlight. You stay focused on becoming the kind of person who can handle it when it arrives. The process of shadow work. To master the art of working in the shadows, you must learn 3 simple disciplines. Private consistency. Do the work even when no one knows you're doing it. Set goals that only you can measure. Let your satisfaction come from the effort, not the attention. Silent improvement. Every day try to become a little better. Learn quietly. Study quietly. Grow quietly. Let your skills speak when the time is right. Hidden mastery. Don't rush to reveal what you're learning. Keep refining until excellence becomes your natural state. When your work is ready, it won't need an introduction. It will speak for itself. This is not about hiding forever. It's about developing the strength that makes exposure safe, not dangerous. The emotional challenge. Working in the shadows can feel lonely. You'll wonder if anyone notices your effort. You'll question if it's worth it. In those moments, remember this. Every master once felt invisible. Every breakthrough begins as a whisper. The world may not see you now, but that's because it's not time yet. The silence that surrounds you is not emptiness. It's focus. It's space. It's the quiet rhythm of something extraordinary, taking shape. Hold on to that. Because one day when your time comes, you'll look back and realize the shadows were never holding you back. They were holding you together. The light that follows. When you've done your time in the shadows, when you've trained, refined, and prepared, the light will find you. It always does. But by then you'll be different. You'll be grounded, humble, and strong. You won't need to chase attention. You'll attract it by the quality of your work and the depth of your character. That's the reward of shadow work. You don't just build success, you build yourself. Closing thoughts. The art of working in the shadows is not glamorous, but it is sacred. It's the phase that separates the dreamers from the doers, the ones who talk from the ones who transform. So embrace the shadows. Love the quiet. Honor the unseen hours of work that no one claps for. Because when the light finally shines, it will reveal not just what you've built but who you've become. And that, more than anything else, is the real reward of working in silence. Chapter 4. The Discipline of Patience. Patience is not simply waiting. It is the art of trusting the process when nothing seems to be happening. It is one of the hardest disciplines in life, and one of the most powerful. The world moves fast. People want results today, rewards tomorrow, and recognition instantly. But life doesn't follow that rhythm. True growth takes time, and the greater your dream, the more time it demands. That's why patience is not weakness. It is wisdom. It's the strength to stay calm in the quiet seasons when progress feels invisible. It's the faith to believe that your effort is working, even when no one can see the results yet. The illusion of quick success. We often see people rise to fame overnight. A viral post, a sudden opportunity, a business that seems to explode out of nowhere. But what we don't see are the years behind those moments. The years of silent preparation, failed attempts, and unseen dedication. Quick success is an illusion. There is no shortcut to mastery. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has walked through seasons of waiting, doubting, and enduring. Impatience is what destroys most dreams. It pushes people to quit too early, or to take shortcuts that weaken their foundation. Patience, on the other hand, builds endurance. It keeps you steady long enough to see what others give up on too soon. A lesson from nature. Consider the seasons. Spring doesn't arrive just because we're tired of winter. It comes when the time is right, when the soil, the sun, and the air are ready to support new life. You can't rush that process. You can only prepare for it. The same is true for you. Your growth has its own seasons. There will be times of planting, times of waiting, and times of harvest. Each one has a purpose. Each one shapes you in ways the others cannot. When you understand that, you stop fighting the waiting. You begin to see patience not as delay, but as development. The story of the patient builder. There's a story about a builder who was asked to construct a home for a wealthy man. He was given generous pay and total creative freedom. But halfway through the project, the builder grew impatient. He wanted to finish quickly and move on to the next job. So he started cutting corners, using cheaper materials, rushing through the details, ignoring small flaws. When the house was done, the wealthy man handed him the keys. He smiled and said, "This is your house. You've been building it for yourself." The builder was speechless. He realized that his impatience had cost him quality. He had built his own future carelessly because he couldn't wait. That's what impatience does. It makes us trade excellence for speed. It blinds us to the truth that what we're building today, we'll be living in tomorrow. Patience builds strength. Patience is not passive. It's active endurance. It's the strength to stay consistent even when the results haven't arrived. It's the discipline to keep showing up, day after day, even when motivation fades. Every quiet effort you make adds up. Every moment of restraint, every day you don't quit, builds something within you. Stability, maturity, wisdom. When you rush, you may get results faster, but they rarely last. When you build patiently, you create something that endures. That's why patience is the partner of mastery. It keeps your emotions balanced. It keeps your focus clear. It helps you grow not just in what you do, but in who you are. The pain of waiting. There's a reason waiting feels so hard. It forces you to confront uncertainty. It challenges your belief that effort should equal instant results. It exposes how much trust you really have in yourself and in the process. But that discomfort is not your enemy. It's your teacher. In silence and waiting, you learn self-control. You learn to value progress over applause. You learn to find joy in small invisible steps. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what you can, while trusting what you can't control. It's learning to water the seed and let time do its part. Real-world wisdom. Think of Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, but he didn't see those attempts as failure. He called them lessons. Each one brought him closer to success. Or consider a bodybuilder. They don't see growth overnight. They train for months, sometimes years, before the change becomes visible. Their patience is their secret strength. In every field, the same truth applies. Those who learn to wait, while working, always win, because while others chase quick results, they're building something that lasts a lifetime. How to practice the discipline of patience. Here are a few ways to develop this rare strength. Detach from speed. Not everything valuable happens fast. Measure progress by growth, not by time. Create a rhythm of work and rest. Consistency beats intensity. Work with purpose. Then allow yourself time to recharge. Balance creates endurance. Celebrate small steps. Every quiet improvement is a victory. Recognize it. Let those small wins fuel your belief. Trust timing. Just because it hasn't happened yet, doesn't mean it won't. Keep preparing. The right moment always arrives for those who are ready. Remember why you started. When you grow restless, return to your purpose. It will remind you that the journey is shaping you as much as the destination. The patience of silence. There's a special kind of patience that only silence teaches. When you work quietly, you stop comparing your pace to others. You stop rushing to catch up. You start focusing on your own rhythm, your own growth. That's when patience becomes peace. You realize that time is not your enemy. It's your partner. Every moment you wait with purpose is building something inside you that will make success sustainable. The hidden reward. When patience becomes a habit, something powerful happens. You stop forcing life to move faster. You start aligning with its natural flow, and in that alignment you find strength, calm and confidence. You no longer panic when things take longer than expected. You trust that your effort will bear fruit when it's time, and when the results finally arrive, they'll mean more, because you'll know you earned them the right way. You didn't skip steps. You didn't rush the process. You built with care, endurance, and faith. Closing thoughts. Patience is not just a virtue, it's a strategy. It's the hidden force behind every lasting success. In a world addicted to instant gratification, patience makes you powerful. It makes you different. It allows you to stay steady while others burn out. So when progress feels slow, don't lose heart. When your dream feels distant, don't give up. You're not behind. You're building depth. You're mastering the most important skill of all, the discipline of patience. Because when you learn to wait with purpose, time becomes your ally, and success becomes inevitable. Chapter 5. Protecting your energy. There is a silent thief that robs more dreams than failure ever could. It doesn't take your money. It doesn't take your time. It takes something far more valuable. Your energy. Your energy is the fuel that powers your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Without it, even the strongest goals fade. With it, even the hardest paths become possible. That's why protecting your energy is not just self-care. It's self-preservation. It's the hidden law that allows everything else in your life to grow. You can have vision, skill, and drive, but if your energy is constantly drained by noise, negativity, or distraction, you'll never have the power to reach your potential. Protecting your energy means guarding the space within you, where focus, motivation, and creativity live. The cost of leaks. Energy leaks happen quietly. They don't announce themselves, but over time, they wear you down. Maybe it's the endless scrolling through social media, comparing yourself to others. Maybe it's the conversation that always leaves you feeling smaller, not stronger. Maybe it's the habit of saying yes when you should say no. Each of these things takes a small piece of your energy. One piece doesn't seem like much, but add them up, day after day, and soon you'll have nothing left for what truly matters. The people who accomplish great things aren't always the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who learn to stop wasting their energy on things that don't feed their future. The power of boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They don't shut the world out. They keep your priorities in. When you protect your energy, you're not being selfish. You're being strategic. You're choosing to invest your time and emotions where they create growth instead of chaos. It's not about cutting people off or living in isolation. It's about learning to manage access. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not every situation deserves your attention. If something costs you your peace, it's too expensive. Boundaries remind you of this truth. Your energy is your currency. Spend it wisely, and life will multiply it back to you. Spend it carelessly, and you'll always feel broke. Not financially but emotionally. A story of energy management. There was once a young athlete who wanted to be a champion. He trained hard every morning, but he also spent his nights arguing with critics online. Every negative comment pulled him into another fight. Every argument drained him just a little more. One day, his coach noticed his performance slipping. "You're strong," the coach said, "but you're wasting your strength in the wrong place. You're fighting battles that don't move you forward." The athlete took that advice seriously. He stopped replying to every critic. He started sleeping earlier, meditating and focusing only on training. Within months his performance transformed. He didn't get stronger. He just stopped leaking energy. That's the power of protection. When you stop feeding what drains you, you start growing in ways that surprise you. Recognizing energy thieves. Energy thieves come in many forms. They can be people, habits, or even your own thoughts. Here are a few to watch for. Negativity. Constant complaining and pessimism drain energy faster than physical work. Protect your mind from environments that feed doubt instead of hope. Distraction. Endless scrolling, gossip, or chasing what others are doing. All of it scatters focus and weakens your drive. Overcommitment. Saying yes to everything leaves you stretched too thin. Every yes is a no to something else, usually your own progress. Self-doubt. The thoughts that say you're not ready or you're not enough don't just block action. They drain the energy behind it. Toxic relationships. Some people only take. They pull you into drama, demand attention and give nothing in return. Protecting your energy means knowing when to step back without guilt. You can't control every energy thief that crosses your path, but you can control how much access they get to your attention. Energy is focus. Your energy flows where your attention goes. Whatever you focus on grows stronger. If you give your attention to problems, you feed worry. If you give your attention to goals, you feed progress. If you give your attention to peace, you feed clarity. So ask yourself every day, where is my energy going? It's not just about what you do. It's about how you feel while you do it. Because energy is emotional, not just physical. Protecting it means protecting your mindset, your environment, and your peace. The power of rest. Many people see rest as weakness, but rest is a weapon. It recharges your mind, renews your motivation, and resets your perspective. Even the strongest machines break down without maintenance. You're no different. You can't build yourself in silence if you're constantly exhausted. You can't create greatness from burnout. So rest, not out of laziness but out of respect for your potential. Take time to disconnect. Breathe. Reflect. The most productive thing you can sometimes do is to stop, so you can start again with strength. Protecting your energy in silence. Silence itself is one of the best protectors of energy. When you withdraw from noise, you stop reacting. You start choosing. You stop defending. You start directing. Silence creates space to think, to listen, and to feel. It allows you to reset from the endless pull of external chaos. When you protect your silence, you protect your power. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every challenge deserves your time. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. Staying quiet doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're conserving your strength for something greater. How to build an energy-protected life. Here are a few practical ways to strengthen your inner walls. Start your day in calm. Avoid checking your phone first thing in the morning. Begin with silence, gratitude, or reflection. It sets your mental tone for the day. Be selective with people. Surround yourself with those who inspire peace and growth, not chaos and comparison. Set clear emotional limits. Know when to step back from conversations that drain you. You don't need to explain your peace to anyone. Simplify your environment. Clutter drains focus. Create clean, calm spaces that support clarity and creativity. Revisit your goals. When you lose focus, return to your why. Purpose is the ultimate energy source. The calm power within. When your energy is protected, you move differently. You speak less, but your words carry weight. You work less frantically, but achieve more. You stop chasing and start attracting. People will notice the change. They'll see the peace, the focus, and the quiet strength you carry. That's what happens when your energy is aligned. You become magnetic. You stop trying to prove yourself and start becoming yourself. Closing thoughts. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it's sacred. It's how you keep your mind sharp, your heart calm, and your purpose alive. In a world that constantly demands your attention, protecting your energy is an act of rebellion and of power. When you learn to control where your energy flows, you learn to control your life. And when you master that, no distraction, no negativity, and no noise can stop your growth. So guard your focus. Guard your peace. Guard your silence. Because your energy is your life force, and once you learn to protect it, nothing can take it from you. Chapter 6. The Noise of the World. There has never been a time in history when the world was louder than it is today. Every second, thousands of voices compete for your attention. Notifications, opinions, news, ads, arguments, noise. It follows you everywhere. In your pocket, in your feed, in your mind. And if you're not careful, that noise can drown out the most important voice of all, your own. The noise of the world is not just sound. It's distraction. It's pressure. It's the constant invitation to look away from what truly matters. And the moment you lose control of your attention, you lose control of your direction. The age of constant distraction. The modern world is built on noise. It rewards visibility more than value. It celebrates reaction more than reflection. You open your phone to check one message, and 30 minutes disappear. You scroll through social media, and suddenly you're comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel. You try to focus on your work, but your mind keeps chasing every buzz, every alert, every new thing. Distraction has become normal. But here's the truth. What's normal is not always natural. Our minds were not designed for endless stimulation. We were built for focus, for depth, for creation. The noise of the world is training people to live on the surface, constantly reacting, rarely thinking. If you want to build yourself in silence, you must learn to step below that surface. You must learn to hear yourself again. The price of too much input. Every sound, every post, every argument demands emotional energy. You may not notice it right away, but it adds up. When your mind is always reacting, it can't reflect. When you're always consuming, you stop creating. When you fill every quiet moment with noise, you lose the ability to hear your intuition. The world will never stop talking. That means silence must be your personal decision, a choice, a discipline. If you don't choose when to disconnect, the world will keep you connected to chaos. A story of the lost signal. There's a story about an old radio operator who worked on ships. He could communicate across oceans with a single signal, but only when the static was low. One night, during a storm, the airwaves were filled with noise. He couldn't hear the messages coming in. Every signal was buried beneath the crackling sound of interference. Frustrated, he turned off the transmitter for a moment, letting the silence return, and slowly, faintly, he heard it. A distress call from a nearby ship. The message had been there all along. It was just hidden beneath the noise. That's how life works. Your purpose, your guidance, your next step, they are already there. But you won't hear them until you quiet the static. Escaping the digital storm. Technology can serve you or it can own you. The difference lies in control. Here's a simple truth. The world is designed to keep you engaged, not enlightened. Every platform wants your attention. Every click, every view, every second. It all feeds a system that profits from your distraction. You may think you're in control, but often the noise is controlling you. Breaking free doesn't mean rejecting technology. It means using it with awareness. Turn off notifications that don't serve your purpose. Set boundaries for social media. Replace mindless scrolling with mindful learning. And most importantly, reclaim moments of silence. Those short pauses where your mind can rest and realign. It's not about disconnecting from the world. It's about reconnecting with yourself. The trap of opinions. Everyone has an opinion. And today everyone has a platform. That's not a problem by itself. The problem begins when you start measuring your worth against those voices. One person's doubt can shake your belief. One comment can plant a seed of hesitation. One disagreement can drain your energy for days. But remember this. Not every voice deserves your attention. Most people are not speaking from truth. They're speaking from noise. If you let every opinion shape your path, you'll spend your life walking in circles. Your mission requires focus, not feedback. So listen less to others, and more to the quiet conviction inside you. The art of quiet resistance. In a noisy world, silence becomes a form of strength. It's not about hiding. It's about choosing peace over chaos. When everyone is rushing to speak, you choose to listen. When everyone is reacting, you choose to think. When everyone is chasing attention, you choose direction. That's what separates the grounded from the restless, the wise from the loud. There's a deep confidence in people who don't need to announce themselves. They walk quietly, but their presence is powerful. They don't shout their plans. They live them. That's the quiet resistance of those who build in silence. How to find silence in a noisy world. Here are a few ways to quiet the world and hear yourself again. Create daily silence. Spend at least 10 minutes every day, without screens, music or conversation. Just breathe and let your mind settle. Create what you consume. Be intentional about what enters your mind. If it doesn't inspire growth or peace, it doesn't deserve space. Practice digital fasting. Set hours each day, or days each week, where you disconnect completely. The world will still be there when you return. Replace noise with nourishment. Read, walk, think, reflect. Fill your mind with depth instead of distraction. Protect your inner voice. When you feel overwhelmed, step away. Silence is not escape. It's clarity. The reward of quiet focus. Once you learn to tune out the noise, something magical happens. Your focus sharpens. Your creativity returns. Your confidence grows. You stop chasing trends and start following purpose. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop being pulled in every direction, and finally begin to move in your own. That's the real reward of silence. It doesn't just calm you, it aligns you. It helps you rediscover what matters most, and gives you the strength to pursue it with calm determination. Closing thoughts. The noise of the world will never stop, but you can choose how much of it enters your life. You can choose peace over pressure. You can choose purpose over performance. You can choose silence, not as escape, but as empowerment. The greatest minds in history all understood this truth. Breakthroughs are born in quiet moments, not in crowded rooms. So step back, log out, take a breath. The world may be loud, but your strength lies in stillness. Because when the world shouts for your attention, silence becomes your superpower, and in that silence, you'll find your direction, your peace and your voice. Chapter 7. Solitude and Self-Discovery. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness is emptiness. Solitude is power. Loneliness drains you. Solitude builds you. When you learn to be at peace in your own company, you unlock one of life's greatest strengths, the ability to understand yourself without the noise, without the crowd, and without the need for constant validation. Solitude is not isolation from the world. It is reconnection with yourself. It's the space where clarity grows, where reflection deepens, and where your true direction begins to reveal itself. The forgotten value of being alone. In today's world, silence feels strange. Stillness feels uncomfortable. The moment we're alone, we reach for a screen, a song, a conversation, anything to fill the quiet. But silence is not something to escape from. It's something to enter. It's the mirror that shows you what distraction hides. When you sit alone without reaching for noise, you start to hear your own thoughts clearly. You begin to see what you've been avoiding, your fears, your desires, your purpose. And from that awareness, self-discovery begins. Great thinkers, leaders, and creators throughout history all shared one habit. They valued solitude, because in solitude, the mind resets, the spirit heals, and vision takes shape. A story of rediscovery. There was once a man who felt lost. He had a good job, a comfortable home, and plenty of friends, but something inside him felt empty. He couldn't explain it. He just knew that the noise of his life had grown too loud. So one weekend, he decided to leave the city. He drove into the mountains, turned off his phone, and spent 2 days completely alone. The first few hours felt unbearable. He reached for his phone instinctively, only to remember it was off. The silence was heavy. But slowly, the discomfort began to fade. He started noticing things he hadn't seen in years. The wind moving through the trees, the rhythm of his breath, the calm inside his thoughts. By the end of the weekend, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Peace, not excitement, not stimulation, just peace. And from that peace came clarity. He realized what truly mattered, and what didn't. He didn't find himself by adding more to his life. He found himself by subtracting the noise. The gift hidden in solitude. When you spend time alone, you learn to separate your true voice from the voices of others. You begin to understand which dreams are yours, and which were planted in you by someone else's expectations. In solitude, you see what drives you. You notice what calms you. You recognize what drains you. You can't discover who you are in the crowd. You can only discover who you are when the crowd disappears. That's why solitude is not punishment. It's preparation. It's where the real work of becoming begins. The fear of silence. Most people avoid solitude because it forces them to face themselves. When the noise stops, the truth gets louder. You begin to notice the doubts you've buried, the pain you've ignored, the goals you've postponed. But that confrontation is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. Because healing begins with honesty. And you can't be honest with yourself until you're willing to listen. When you stop running from silence, you start hearing what your life has been trying to tell you. And that's where transformation begins. Solitude versus isolation. Solitude and isolation may look similar, but they are not the same. Isolation is escape. It's running away from connection, responsibility, or emotion. Solitude is engagement. It's choosing to spend time with yourself for growth, reflection, and peace. In isolation, you close your heart. In solitude, you open it. In isolation, you feel smaller. In solitude, you expand. Learning this difference changes everything. Because once you start using solitude as a tool, it becomes your most powerful ally in building yourself from the inside out. How to practice solitude in everyday life. You don't need to disappear into the mountains to find solitude. You can create it right where you are. Here's how. Morning quiet time. Begin your day with silence. Before messages, before news, before noise. Use those minutes to breathe, reflect, or journal. Silent breaks during the day. Step away from screens for 5 minutes. Sit quietly. Let your mind slow down. Evening reflection. End your day by reviewing your thoughts and actions. Ask yourself, did I move closer to the person I want to become? Nature walks. Go outside without music or distractions. Nature restores your balance and clears mental clutter. Digital boundaries. Turn off unnecessary noise. You don't need to consume everything that's available. These small acts of solitude build mental strength, emotional balance, and self-awareness, the foundations of true success. The wisdom you find within. In solitude, wisdom reveals itself gently. You begin to understand patterns, why you react the way you do, why certain people drain your energy, why you repeat the same mistakes. And with understanding comes power. Because once you see yourself clearly, you can change, you can forgive, you can evolve. Self-discovery is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. That's the miracle of solitude. It doesn't just show you your flaws. It reminds you of your strength. The strength of the solitary builder. Those who master solitude become unshakable. They don't depend on the crowd to feel complete. They don't need approval to feel valuable. Their confidence is quiet, but it's real. When challenges come, they don't panic. They retreat into their silence, think, and return stronger. Because solitude gives them access to a calm center that the world cannot touch. You can spot people like this easily. They move slowly, but intentionally. They speak less, but when they do, their words carry weight. They are rooted, because they've spent time building those roots in silence. The return to connection. Paradoxically, solitude also improves your relationships. When you know yourself, you connect with others from authenticity, not from need. You stop trying to impress or please. You start relating with truth and respect. You listen better. You love deeper. You understand that connection doesn't come from constant contact. It comes from inner peace. When you find peace alone, you bring peace with you wherever you go. Closing thoughts. Solitude is not the absence of life. It's the foundation of it. It's where clarity is born, where identity is shaped, and where strength is restored. In a world full of noise and chaos, solitude is your secret classroom. It teaches you who you are, what you want, and what truly matters. So take time for yourself, not as escape, but as evolution. Learn to enjoy your own company. Find joy in the quiet. Find meaning in the pause. Because when you discover peace within yourself, no storm outside can shake you. Solitude is where you stop searching for yourself in others, and finally find yourself within. Chapter 8. Building unshakable focus. Focus is the bridge between goals and achievement. It's what turns vision into progress, and progress into results. Without focus, even the most talented person drifts. With focus, even the ordinary can achieve the extraordinary. But focus today has become rare. In a world filled with noise, distractions and endless notifications, staying focused feels like swimming against the current. The world is constantly trying to pull your attention away, and the moment you lose it, you lose momentum. Building unshakable focus is not just about working harder. It's about learning to control your attention like a disciplined warrior. It's about mastering your mind before it masters you. The nature of true focus. Focus is not intensity, it's consistency. Many people mistake bursts of effort for focus. They work hard for a few days, then lose motivation when results don't appear fast enough. But real focus isn't about short sprints. It's about long endurance. It's the ability to stay centered on what matters, day after day, no matter what distractions appear. Focus is like light. When scattered, it warms. When concentrated, it burns through anything. Your attention works the same way. If you spread it across too many things, you'll feel busy but go nowhere. If you direct it toward one clear goal, you become unstoppable. The story of the archer. There's an old story about a master archer who trained his students in the art of precision. One day he blindfolded a student and told him to hit a target placed at a distance. The student drew his bow, aimed as best he could, and released the arrow. It missed by several feet. The master removed the blindfold and said, "You cannot hit what you cannot see." The same is true in life. Before you aim, you must learn to focus. He then placed the student in front of the target again, this time with eyes open. "Now," the master said, "see the target clearly. Block out everything else. The trees, the noise, the wind, none of it matters." The student took a deep breath, drew his bow again, and hit the target dead center. That's what unshakable focus looks like. Seeing the goal so clearly that nothing else exists in that moment. Why we lose focus. Focus doesn't disappear overnight. It fades quietly, one distraction at a time. You check your phone for a quick message. You open a video just for a minute. You multitask thinking it saves time, when in reality it scatters your energy. Soon you realize hours are gone, and your attention is fragmented. The truth is, every distraction has a cost. Each time your focus breaks, your brain has to reassemble itself to get back into deep work, a process that can take 20 minutes or more. That's why the most productive people are not always the busiest. They're the ones who learn to say no, not just to people, but to everything that doesn't align with their purpose. The power of one thing. There's a simple principle that can transform your productivity. Do one thing at a time. When you focus on one task fully, your brain enters a state of deep engagement called flow. Time disappears. Your energy feels limitless. Your mind sharpens. This is where true creativity and excellence live. But the moment you divide your attention, you lose that power. Half focus creates half results. Unshakable focus begins when you train yourself to do fewer things, and do them better. Ask yourself, what is the one thing that matters most right now? What is the one step that will move me forward today? Everything else is secondary. Building a focused mind. Focus is a skill, and like any skill, it grows stronger through training. Here are simple ways to build mental discipline. Start your day with clarity. Before opening your phone, decide your top 3 priorities for the day. Write them down. Keep them visible. Create focus rituals. Have a clear start and end to your deep work sessions. For example, sit in the same spot, play the same quiet music, or light a candle. Signals that tell your brain, it's time to focus. Use time blocks. Work in focused sprints. 50 minutes of deep work, 10 minutes of rest. During those 50 minutes, no distractions, no multitasking, no breaks. Protect your mental environment. Your surroundings shape your focus. Declutter your workspace. Simplify your digital world. Turn off notifications. Guard your attention like treasure. Every interruption demands a piece of your mind. Before you give it away, ask, is this worth my energy? The role of silence in focus. Silence sharpens focus. When the world around you quiets down, your mind stops reacting and starts creating. That's why so many great thinkers, writers and inventors work alone. Not because they dislike people, but because they understand that deep focus lives in silence. When you're alone with your thoughts, you enter a state of alignment, mind, body and purpose, all moving together. That's when breakthroughs happen. Not in chaos, not in crowds, but in stillness. If you want to build unshakable focus, make silence a daily practice. Even 10 minutes of quiet reflection each morning can reset your mental rhythm for the entire day. Focus and emotional discipline. You can't stay focused if your emotions are always in control. Anger, anxiety, fear, they all drain mental energy. Unshakable focus requires emotional balance. It means not letting your feelings dictate your effort. It means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. The disciplined mind says, I will do it anyway. And that attitude separates the average from the exceptional. When you master your emotions, distractions lose their power. You stop chasing comfort and start chasing purpose. The example of the sculptor. A sculptor once said, when I carve, I don't see stone. I see the figure trapped inside, waiting to be freed. That's how focused people live. They don't see obstacles. They see the masterpiece within the work. Every strike of the chisel, every repetition, every moment of focus, it's all shaping something greater. If they get distracted, the vision fades. But when they stay centered, the masterpiece emerges. one deliberate stroke at a time. The enemies of focus. To protect your focus, you must recognize its enemies. Overthinking. Thinking too much about what could go wrong blocks action. Clarity comes from doing, not from endless analysis. Comparison. Measuring yourself against others shifts your focus outward. Keep your eyes on your lane. Perfectionism. Waiting for perfect conditions kills progress. Focus is about movement, not flawless beginnings. Exhaustion. A tired mind cannot focus. Rest is not laziness. It's part of the process. Becoming unshakable. Unshakable focus doesn't mean you never get distracted. It means distractions no longer control you. You learn to pause, refocus and continue. You learn to say, "Not now," to everything that doesn't serve your goal. You learn that consistency, not speed, builds momentum. Over time your mind becomes disciplined, calm and directed. You stop scattering your energy and start channeling it like a laser. And that's when success becomes inevitable, not because you worked harder. Closing thoughts. Focus is the art of choosing what matters and letting go of what doesn't. It's how ordinary effort becomes extraordinary impact. When you learn to master your attention, you master your results. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. The world will always try to distract you, but you are not here to chase every noise. You are here to create something meaningful. So stay centered, stay clear. Build your unshakable focus one silent, disciplined day at a time. Because in the end, it's not talent or luck that separates those who succeed from those who don't. It's focus. Chapter 9. The Silent Daily Routine. Success doesn't come from a single moment of inspiration. It comes from the quiet repetition of disciplined days. It's not what you do once in a while that changes your life. It's what you do every day, especially when no one's watching. That is the secret power of a silent daily routine. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. Calm, focused, steady effort that compounds over time. When you build a routine that supports your growth, you don't have to rely on motivation anymore. Your actions begin to move on their own momentum. Your habits take over where willpower ends. And before you realize it, your quiet days have built an extraordinary life. Why routine creates freedom? Most people think routine is restrictive. They believe it limits creativity, spontaneity and fun. But the truth is the opposite. Routine doesn't trap you. It frees you. When your day has structure, your mind becomes clear. You waste less energy deciding what to do next. You replace confusion with rhythm. You stop reacting and start directing. Routine gives you control, not over life's chaos but over how you move through it. It creates stability in an unstable world, and that stability gives you the peace and power to grow in silence. The power of repetition. Greatness is not built in grand gestures. It's built in small repetitive actions. A musician practices scales when no one's listening. A writer sits down every morning, even when the words don't come easily. An athlete repeats the same motion thousands of times until it becomes second nature. That's the essence of a silent daily routine. Quiet repetition that looks ordinary from the outside, but transforms you from within. Repetition builds skill. Skill builds confidence. Confidence builds mastery. Every time you repeat a good habit, you're telling your mind, "This is who I am." And over time those small choices become part of your identity. The morning foundation. The tone of your day is set in the first hour. That's why a morning routine is not just helpful. It's sacred. How you begin determines how you'll continue. Start your day with distraction and your mind stays scattered. Start with clarity, and your focus stays strong. A powerful morning routine doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to be intentional. Here's a simple pattern to follow. Wake with purpose. Don't start your day by scrolling. Start it with presence. Breathe, stretch, give thanks. Move your body. Even a short walk or light exercise signals your brain that it's time to wake up and create. Feed your mind. Read something inspiring or write a few thoughts in a journal. Remind yourself of your goals and values. Plan in silence. Before the world's noise begins, decide what truly matters today. Choose 3 priorities, and commit to finishing them. That first hour doesn't just prepare your body, it anchors your mind. And once anchored, you move through your day with calm strength. The rhythm of consistency. Consistency is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. The silent achiever doesn't rely on bursts of energy or waves of inspiration. They rely on rhythm. They know that progress isn't made by intensity. It's made by persistence. Even when progress feels invisible, consistency is working quietly behind the scenes. Like a seed pushing through soil. You may not see results right away, but growth is happening. If you can stay faithful to your daily routine, your quiet rituals of improvement, time will multiply your effort. The evening reset. Most people focus on how they start their day, but how you end your day is just as important. The evening is your opportunity to reset, reflect and prepare for the next sunrise. It's the bridge between today's effort and tomorrow's progress. Before you go to sleep, ask yourself, what did I accomplish today? What did I learn? What can I improve tomorrow? This simple reflection transforms routine into wisdom. It turns your days into a cycle of learning and growth instead of endless repetition. Then end with gratitude. No matter how the day went, find something, even one thing, to be thankful for. Gratitude shifts your focus from pressure to peace, from frustration to fulfillment. That's how you rest like a builder. Not with regret, but with readiness. The quiet power of discipline. The silent daily routine is built on discipline, but discipline doesn't mean harshness. It means devotion. It's the gentle, consistent act of doing what matters, even when no one else notices. It's choosing structure over chaos, focus over distraction, and growth over comfort. Each time you keep your promise to yourself, your discipline strengthens. You begin to trust yourself more. You stop needing external motivation because your inner rhythm becomes your guide. Over time you'll realize that discipline is not punishment, it's protection. It protects your purpose from being stolen by procrastination. It guards your peace from being shattered by inconsistency. A story of quiet transformation. There was once a man who wanted to change his life. He was tired of failing, tired of starting and quitting, tired of big plans that never lasted. So he decided to make one small change. Every morning he woke up and made his bed. Then he wrote one sentence about what he wanted from life. It seemed insignificant, but that simple habit became his anchor. Soon he added 10 minutes of exercise, then reading, then journaling. Months passed. He didn't announce his new routine to anyone. He just lived it. A year later, his life looked completely different, healthier, calmer, more purposeful. When people asked him how he did it, he smiled and said, "I stopped waiting for motivation. I started showing up quietly." That's the power of a silent daily routine. It transforms you quietly, consistently, and permanently. Protecting the routine. Your routine is sacred. Protect it from the world's noise. There will always be distractions, messages, demands, emergencies that aren't truly urgent. You can't eliminate them all, but you can learn to defend your rhythm. When it's time to work, work. When it's time to rest, rest. Keep your focus clear, your boundaries firm and your schedule simple. Remember, a routine doesn't control you, it sustains you. And the more you honor it, the more it will reward you. The silent hours of mastery. Every great builder, creator, or thinker has sacred hours that belong to them alone. Hours when the world is still asleep. Hours when silence becomes their ally. Those quiet hours are where breakthroughs are born. That's when ideas breathe. That's when focus deepens. If you want to change your life, protect a few silent hours each day, even one will do. Use it to create, to think, to grow. Let that time be untouchable. Over weeks and months, those hours will build your empire, one calm, deliberate step at a time. Closing thoughts. Your silent daily routine is not glamorous. It won't make headlines or earn applause. But it will make you unstoppable, because true progress is invisible at first. It happens behind the scenes, in the small actions you repeat every day. The world celebrates results. You must celebrate effort, because the effort done in silence is what creates everything that follows. So wake up with purpose, work with focus, end with gratitude. Build your days quietly. Build your habits patiently. Build your life deliberately. Because one day, when success finally arrives, the world will call you lucky. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck. It was the silent daily routine, practiced in peace, built in discipline, and perfected in silence. Chapter 10. The Strength of Self-Control. Self-control is the quiet strength that separates those who wish from those who achieve. It is the ability to govern your impulses, your emotions and your actions, even when temptation whispers and distractions call your name. It is not about denying life's pleasures. It's about mastering yourself enough to choose long-term gain over short-term satisfaction. It's the power to pause when others react, to stay steady when others panic, to continue working when others quit. Self-control is the invisible force behind discipline, focus, and success. Without it, even the brightest mind becomes scattered. With it, even the smallest effort becomes powerful. The hidden power within. Every person has two voices inside them. One whispers, "Take the easy way." The other says, "Stay the course." The first voice wants comfort. The second wants growth. Self-control is choosing the second voice, again and again, until it becomes your nature. The truth is, success doesn't belong to the smartest or the most talented. It belongs to the one who can control themselves when it matters most. The one who can stay calm in chaos. The one who can hold their focus when others chase distraction. The one who can delay gratification and trust the process. Self-control is quiet strength in motion, silent, firm, and unstoppable. A story of two warriors. There's an ancient story of two warriors. One was fierce and fast. The other was calm and precise. In battle, the first rushed forward, swinging wildly, burning his energy early. The second waited. He studied the rhythm of the fight. He struck only when the time was right, and every strike counted. At the end, the calm warrior stood victorious. When asked how he won, he said, "Strength is nothing without control. Power without patience destroys itself." That's the essence of self-control. It's not about suppressing power. It's about directing it with wisdom. Why we lose control? Most people don't lose self-control suddenly. They lose it slowly, one small compromise at a time. They skip a small task, telling themselves it doesn't matter. They react emotionally to something trivial. They allow one moment of weakness to grow into a pattern. Every loss of control begins with a single moment of unawareness. And that's why awareness is the first step to mastery. When you know what triggers you, frustration, fear, fatigue, you can prepare for it. You can pause before reacting. You can create space between the impulse and the action. And in that space, power returns to you. The discipline of emotional control. The hardest kind of control is emotional control. When anger, jealousy, or fear take over, logic fades. Emotions are powerful, but if you don't master them, they will master you. Emotional self-control doesn't mean you suppress feelings. It means you manage them wisely. You feel the emotion, but you don't let it decide your behavior. You let the storm pass before you speak, act, or decide. You breathe before you react. That pause, that tiny moment between emotion and action is where maturity lives. People who can stay calm in conflict, humble in victory, and steady in disappointment possess a rare kind of strength. They don't need to prove their power. Their composure is their power. Delayed gratification, the mark of mastery. Self-control is not just about saying no. It's about saying not yet. The ability to delay gratification, to wait for a better reward later, is one of the clearest indicators of long-term success. In a famous study, researchers offered children a marshmallow. They could eat it now, or wait 15 minutes to receive 2. Years later, the children who had waited were found to be more successful in almost every area of life. Education, relationships, even happiness. Why? Because patience multiplies rewards. Impulsiveness spends them. Adults face the same test every day. Will you spend your energy chasing comfort, or invest it in something that grows? Will you react emotionally, or respond intentionally? Will you follow your impulses or your principles? Self-control is not about deprivation. It's about direction. It's about making choices today that serve the person you want to become tomorrow. The quiet strength of restraint. There's a certain power in restraint that few understand. When you choose not to argue, not to boast, not to react, you create space for wisdom. People often mistake silence for weakness, but those who can stay composed under pressure are often the strongest in the room. They don't waste energy proving themselves. They use that energy to keep building. Every moment you choose restraint over reaction, you reinforce your foundation. You strengthen your inner walls. You gain control over the only thing that truly matters, yourself. How to strengthen self-control. Building self-control is a daily practice. It doesn't happen overnight, but it grows with small, deliberate choices. Here's how to begin. Start small. Pick one area of your life to strengthen. Maybe your phone use, your diet, or your reactions. Master one, then move to the next. Pause before acting. When emotions rise, breathe before you speak. That pause can save you from decisions you'll regret later. Create systems, not stress. Rely on structure, not willpower. For example, if you want to focus more, silence notifications instead of trying to resist them. Keep promises to yourself. Every time you follow through, your confidence grows. Every time you don't, your self-trust weakens. Embrace discomfort. Growth lives outside of comfort. Learn to sit with the urge to quit, and choose persistence instead. Each small victory over impulse builds strength. Over time, control becomes natural, not forced. The power of inner command. When you master self-control, you stop being controlled by the world. You no longer react to every emotion, opinion, or event. You choose your responses consciously. That's freedom. Not freedom to do whatever you want, but freedom from being a slave to what you feel in the moment. People with self-control walk differently. They move with calm assurance. They don't chase. They attract. They don't get pulled into chaos. They create order. They are builders, not reactors. And the world respects them, even if it doesn't understand them. A story of the silent leader. There was once a leader known for his calm nature. In meetings filled with arguments and heated words, he often said nothing. People mistook his silence for indecision, until they noticed something remarkable. When he finally spoke, every person in the room listened. His words carried weight, because they came from clarity, not emotion. He didn't speak to win the argument. He spoke to move things forward. One of his colleagues once asked, "How do you stay so calm when everyone else loses control?" He smiled and said, "When I control myself, I control the situation. If I lose myself, I lose everything." That's the essence of strength. Not domination, but discipline. Not loudness, but clarity. Not reaction, but restraint. The reward of mastery. When you develop self-control, every part of your life improves. Your relationships deepen. Your focus strengthens. Your peace expands. You become more productive, but also more patient. More successful, but also more centered. You begin to move through life like a river, calm on the surface, but powerful underneath. That's what mastery feels like. Closing thoughts. Self-control is not a single act. It's a way of being. It's how you move through temptation, through chaos, through life itself. Every time you resist the urge to react, you grow stronger. Every time you stay calm in the storm, your roots go deeper. And every time you choose discipline over impulse, you build the foundation of greatness. In the silence of your self-control, you become the master of your mind, the guardian of your peace, and the architect of your destiny. Because success doesn't belong to the loudest or the fastest. It belongs to the one who can control their energy, their emotions, and their effort when it matters most. That is the quiet strength of true power. That is the law of self-control. Chapter 11. Turning pain into power. Pain is life's most honest teacher. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't lie. It doesn't care about your comfort. It exists to show you what still needs to grow within you. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has walked through pain, disappointment, failure, loss, rejection, or struggle. But what separates the broken from the built is not the pain itself. It's what they do with it. Some people let pain define them. Others let it refine them. The choice determines everything. Pain can be the wall that stops you or the fire that shapes you. The difference lies in how you see it, not as punishment, but as potential. The hidden purpose of pain. At first, pain feels like destruction. It shakes your plans, breaks your rhythm, and blindsides your sense of control. But underneath that chaos, something deeper is happening. Pain breaks illusions. It strips away the false beliefs, the ego, and the comfort that keep you from growing. It brings truth to the surface. The truth about who you are, what you value, and what really matters. In pain, you meet yourself, the real you, not the version shaped by other people's expectations. And that meeting, though uncomfortable, is the beginning of transformation. That's why pain often precedes progress. It's not the end of the story. It's the turning point. A story of transformation. There was once a blacksmith who forged swords for a living. One day, A student asked him why he struck the metal so many times, heating and hammering it again and again. The blacksmith smiled and said, "Because every time the fire softens the metal, I shape it. And every time I strike it, I make it stronger. Without the fire, it would stay weak. Without the pressure, it would never take form." Life works the same way. Your struggles are the heat. Your challenges are the hammer. And every time you face them with courage, you're being shaped, refined into something tougher, wiser, and more capable than before. Pain doesn't destroy your strength. It reveals it. The pain of growth. Growth always hurts before it helps. Think of a seed breaking open before it sprouts. It must shatter before new life emerges. In the same way, every time you grow, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you must let go of something old, an identity, a belief, a comfort. That letting go is painful, but it's necessary. Pain stretches your limits. It teaches you endurance. It gives you empathy and perspective that comfort never could. The moments that hurt the most often become the ones that define your strength. Because pain carves space inside you, and that space later becomes capacity. Why we resist pain? We live in a world that avoids discomfort. We're told that if something hurts, something's wrong. But that's not always true. Pain doesn't always mean harm. Sometimes it means healing. A muscle must tear to grow. A heart must break to learn compassion. A mind must be challenged to expand. When you avoid pain, you also avoid transformation. When you run from difficulty, you run from the very experiences that would make you powerful. Pain invites you to face what you've been avoiding. Your fears, your weaknesses, your old wounds. When you face them, you free yourself. When you ignore them, they own you, turning the pain around. Pain can either drain you or drive you. It depends on how you frame it. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Not why is this happening to me, but what is this shaping in me? That single shift turns pain into purpose. Here's how to transform it. Acknowledge the pain. Don't bury it under busyness. Feel it. Name it. Accept that it's real. Denial only delays healing. Extract the lesson. Every painful experience carries wisdom. About people, choices, boundaries, or resilience. Find it, and it becomes a gift, instead of a scar. Redirect the energy. Channel the emotion into action. Exercise. Create. Build. Write. Work. Use your pain as momentum instead of a weight. Stay patient with the process. Healing takes time. Growth takes longer. But if you stay steady, your pain will slowly turn into peace. Pain loses its power the moment it finds purpose. The fire of resilience. Think about those who inspire you most. Chances are, they didn't live easy lives. They struggled. They lost. They suffered. But they refused to stay down. They turned pain into something productive. Art, work, service, strength, compassion. They used their wounds as wisdom. They transformed their scars into symbols of survival. That's what resilience really is. Not avoiding pain but absorbing it and transforming it. Pain gives you a story worth telling. Resilience gives you the courage to keep writing it. A story of silent endurance. There was once a runner training for a marathon. In the early weeks his body ached every day. His lungs burned. His legs screamed. And quitting seemed easier than continuing. But he kept showing up. Quietly. Consistently, without complaint. Months later, when he crossed the finish line, people called him strong. They said he made it look easy. He smiled, because he knew the truth. It wasn't easy. It was painful, but it was the pain that made him powerful. Every step that once hurt became part of his endurance. Every moment of fatigue had forged his strength. Pain had trained him for victory, long before he reached the finish line. Pain and purpose. When you attach your pain to a purpose, it changes shape. It no longer feels like punishment. It becomes preparation. The disappointment that once broke you now gives you empathy to help others. The rejection that once hurt you now teaches you independence. The loss that once hollowed you now gives you depth. You start to see that nothing was wasted. Every struggle was part of your becoming. Your story, with all its challenges, becomes someone else's survival guide. And in that realization, pain turns into power. The quiet healing of time. Healing is not loud. It doesn't happen in big leaps or sudden breakthroughs. It happens quietly, day by day, choice by choice, breath by breath. One day you'll look back and realize that the pain that once felt unbearable no longer controls you. You'll see how it changed your perspective, strengthened your spirit, and deepened your gratitude. Pain doesn't last forever, but the wisdom it gives you does, and that wisdom becomes the fuel for your next chapter. Closing thoughts. Pain is not the enemy of growth. It's the entryway to it. It's the tool life uses to shape your strength, sharpen your focus, and awaken your purpose. You can't avoid pain. You can only decide how to meet it. You can let it make you bitter, or let it make you better. When you face pain with courage, it transforms into power. When you face it with faith, it becomes meaning. And when you face it in silence, it becomes wisdom. So don't curse the pain. Thank it. Learn from it. Let it refine you. Because one day you'll look back and realize, the pain that once felt like breaking was actually building. It wasn't ending you. It was evolving you. That is the hidden law of transformation. Pain, when embraced with purpose, becomes your greatest power. Chapter 12. Let your results speak. There comes a point in your journey when words are no longer necessary. You've worked, you've struggled, you've sacrificed, and now it's time to let your results do the talking. In a world that constantly shouts for attention, quiet achievement has become rare. Everyone wants to be seen before they've built something worth showing. But the truth is this: the loudest voice isn't the most powerful. The most powerful is the one that doesn't need to shout. When your results speak, they carry an authority that no argument, no explanation, and no defense can match. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You simply become undeniable. The wisdom of silence. There's a reason true masters rarely boast. They understand that excellence is self-evident. It doesn't need introduction or applause. The more confident you become in your work, the less you feel the need to explain it. You begin to understand that silence itself is a form of confidence. A statement that says, I don't need to prove it. I'll show it. This is the art of quiet credibility. When your effort is genuine, your results will always reveal it. Maybe not today, but eventually. The world can ignore your words. It can't ignore your work. The story of the two builders. There's an old story about two builders who began their projects at the same time. The first builder rushed to impress everyone. He worked fast, posted pictures of his progress, and bragged about how quickly his structure would rise. The second builder worked quietly, methodically, and without an audience. He took his time laying a solid foundation. Months later, a storm came. The first builder's structure collapsed overnight. The second builder's home stood firm, untouched. When people asked him how he built something so strong, he smiled and said, I built for stability, not attention. That's the power of letting results speak. They stand when words fail. Why people speak too soon. We live in an age of instant exposure, Announce a new idea, post a new goal, and share every step of the journey. That's what most people do. They think talking about success brings it closer, but in truth, it often takes it further away. Every time you announce your plans, you gain a small burst of validation. That validation tricks your brain into feeling like you've already accomplished something, and that's when motivation fades. The most successful people understand this psychological trap. They know that talking drains energy meant for doing. That's why they hold their plans close, not out of secrecy, but out of wisdom, because when you let your results speak, no one can question your credibility. The power of proof. People can doubt your words, but they can't deny your results. You don't need to tell people you're disciplined. They'll see it in your consistency. You don't need to tell them you're committed. They'll see it in your growth. You don't need to tell them you're capable. They'll see it in your work. Proof silences every critic. Proof outlasts every doubt. And proof always begins in silence. It's not about showing off. It's about showing up. Every day, every effort, every decision that moves you closer to the vision you quietly nurture. Your results are not built by noise. They're built by focus, patience and persistence. The quiet trio of true greatness. When they don't believe you, at some point, you'll meet people who doubt you. They'll question your potential, your dreams, even your direction, and you'll feel the urge to prove them wrong. To explain yourself, defend yourself, justify your vision. Don't. It's wasted energy. The best response to doubt is not argument. It's achievement. Nothing silences disbelief like undeniable success. Not because you need to prove them wrong, but because you owe it to yourself to stay right. When you stay focused on your path, the noise around you fades. When you rise through quiet action, those same voices that once doubted you will start asking how you did it. And when they do, you won't need to answer. Your results will do it for you. The discipline of low noise, high output. To let your results speak, you must first learn the discipline of quiet consistency. It's the daily effort no one sees. The early mornings, the late nights, the revisions, the failures, the comebacks. It's doing what others avoid, because they want attention, not mastery. High noise, low output is common. Low noise, high output is rare. Be rare. Don't chase recognition. Chase refinement. Don't announce progress. Create it. Don't seek validation. Seek improvement. The less you speak, the stronger your work becomes. Because every ounce of energy that once went into impressing others now goes into building yourself. A story of silent mastery. There was once a pianist who practiced every morning before sunrise. He didn't play for audiences or post his progress online. He played for the sound of the notes, the rhythm of the keys, and the peace of his own growth. Years passed. One night, he was invited to perform in front of a large audience. When he sat at the piano, the crowd fell silent as his music filled the room. When he finished, they gave him a standing ovation. A journalist later asked, "How did you prepare for this moment?" He smiled and said, "I've been preparing every morning for 10 years. Today was just the first time you heard it." That's what it means to let your results speak. Quiet effort over time that eventually echoes louder than words ever could. Staying humble. When success arrives, when your results finally speak, humility becomes your shield. Because the moment success arrives, ego will try to speak louder than your work. Don't let it. Stay grounded. Stay grateful. Remember the silent years, the nights you doubted yourself, the mornings you showed up anyway, the effort no one saw, Those are the reasons you're here. Your results are not trophies. They're milestones. They're proof of what patience and persistence can build. And the moment you think you've arrived is the moment you stop growing. So let your results speak, but let your humility whisper louder. Practical ways to let results speak. Here are a few ways to practice this quiet strength. Stop announcing every move. Work quietly until the outcome is undeniable. Value progress over praise. Praise fades. Progress stays. Focus on mastery. Be known for your excellence, not your effort. Let your actions do the marketing. Consistency sells louder than words ever will. Celebrate privately. True satisfaction doesn't come from applause. It comes from knowing you gave your best. When your work carries real weight, you won't need to convince anyone. Your results will speak your truth. Closing thoughts. Silence is not the absence of confidence. It's the presence of certainty. It's the assurance that what you're building will speak louder than anything you could say. Let others talk. Let others chase validation. You keep building, because one day when your results finally appear, they won't just tell your story, they'll prove it. The world will call it sudden, but you'll know the truth. He wasn't sudden. It was silent. You built it in the shadows. You refined it through patience. You earned it through consistency. And now you don't have to say a word. Your work says everything. That is the quiet victory of the builder. That is the reward of silence. That is the law. Let your results speak. Chapter 13. Emerge with purpose. Every season of silence has a purpose. Every hidden effort, every unseen struggle, every quiet hour you've spent becoming, it all leads here. There comes a moment when you are no longer preparing in the dark. A moment when it's time to step into the light. Not to show off, but to serve. This is the chapter of emergence. Not the loud kind. Not the kind built on noise or ego, but the kind born from alignment, clarity, and purpose. You've built yourself in silence. Now you must emerge. With intention. The meaning of emergence. To emerge with purpose means to reveal your growth without losing your grounding. It's stepping into your next chapter, not because you want attention, but because you're ready to contribute. Most people rush their emergence. They want to be seen before they've truly built something to stand on. But real emergence happens when your inner foundation is strong enough to carry your outer success. When you've done the work quietly, you don't need to announce it. When you've grown deeply, your presence begins to speak naturally. Emerge, not to impress, but to express. Not to prove yourself, but to use yourself. The story of the butterfly. A caterpillar does not force its transformation. It doesn't rush through the cocoon. It stays still, in silence, in darkness, trusting that what's happening inside is enough. Then one day the cocoon opens. The butterfly doesn't emerge in noise or haste. It unfolds slowly, gracefully, purposefully. It doesn't try to prove it can fly. It just does. That's the same law that governs your growth. The time you've spent in silence was never wasted. It was your cocoon, your training ground. Now as you step into the next stage of your life, remember, you don't need to explain your wings. You just need to use them. From hidden work to visible worth. Everything you've built in silence now becomes visible, not in words but in results, character, and presence. When you emerge with purpose, people will see the difference without you saying a thing. They'll notice your calm, your focus, your quiet confidence. Because purpose changes how you move. It gives meaning to your energy and direction to your voice. But don't confuse emergence with exposure. Emergence is alignment. The moment when what you've built inside naturally begins to shine outside. If you've done the work right, your emergence won't look like a performance. It will look like peace. The discipline of timing. The hardest part of growth is knowing when to step forward. Emerge too early, and you risk crumbling under the weight of unfinished preparation. Wait too long, and fear may convince you to stay hidden forever. That's why timing matters. And timing isn't decided by fear or impatience. It's decided by readiness. You'll know you're ready when you no longer feel the need to rush. When your confidence is quiet. When your heart says, I'm not trying to prove. I'm ready to provide. Purpose has its own timing. And when it calls, you won't have to force your emergence. It will feel natural. A story of quiet readiness. There was once a woman who dreamed of becoming a teacher, but for years, she stayed silent, learning, observing, refining her craft. Friends asked why she didn't start teaching sooner. She would smile and say, I'm still learning how to teach myself. One day, a local school lost their instructor unexpectedly. They called her, not because she had been seeking attention, but because her quiet preparation had earned her a reputation for wisdom and consistency. She stepped into the classroom, nervous, but ready. Her years of silent learning had prepared her perfectly for that moment. When the time came, she didn't have to chase the opportunity. It found her. That's the beauty of purpose. When you align with it in silence, it always finds a way to bring you forward when the time is right. The power of alignment. Emerge with purpose, not just ambition. Ambition wants attention. Purpose wants impact. Ambition says, look at me. Purpose says, let me help. When you move with purpose, everything changes. You stop chasing validation. You start creating value. You stop trying to be seen. You start trying to serve. And that shift from noise to meaning is what separates fleeting success from lasting significance. True emergence is not about being recognized. It's about being useful, living your purpose quietly. Purpose doesn't always require a stage. It can live in the way you work, the way you lead, the way you treat others. It can be expressed in kindness, in patience, in the excellence you bring to every small task. You don't have to be loud to make a difference. You just have to be consistent. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more quiet examples of strength, love, and integrity. So, live your purpose through your actions. Let your work speak for your beliefs. Let your calm become your confidence. When your actions reflect purpose, people feel it, even in silence. Protecting your purpose. When you emerge, new challenges will appear. More attention, more opinions, more opportunities to drift away from what truly matters. That's why protecting your purpose is just as important as finding it. Stay grounded in your values. Keep your circle small and genuine. Don't let success make you forget your roots. Remember why you started, and who you were before the recognition arrived. Because your purpose was born in silence, and it will thrive only if you stay connected to that silence. A lesson from the mountain. When climbers reach the summit, they don't stay there forever. They take a moment to breathe, to reflect, to appreciate the view, and then they descend to share what they've learned. Purpose works the same way. Your emergence is not the end of the journey. It's a new beginning. You rise so you can help others rise. You grow so you can guide others. Your silence built you. Now your purpose can build others. The calm of true purpose. When you emerge with purpose, you'll notice something strange. You won't feel the excitement of ego. You'll feel the calm of alignment. You won't feel the need to shout. You'll feel the peace of knowing. Because true purpose doesn't create tension. It creates harmony. It makes you feel right, even when the work is hard. It gives you strength, without stress, ambition without arrogance, success without noise. You'll stop chasing the spotlight, and start becoming the light. Closing thoughts. Emerge with purpose, not as someone who needs to prove, but as someone who's ready to serve. Emerge with clarity, knowing that every quiet day prepared you for this moment. Emerge with peace, knowing that your foundation is unshakable. You don't need to announce your comeback. You don't need to declare your greatness. You just need to live it, calmly, consistently and truthfully. Let your life be the message. Let your purpose be the voice. And let your emergence be guided not by noise, but by meaning. Because the world doesn't need another loud success story. It needs living proof that quiet strength can change everything. You are that proof. You've built yourself in silence. Now emerge with purpose. Conclusion. The sound of true success. Listen closely. Do you hear it? It's not the applause. It's not the noise of recognition, or the sound of the crowd. It's quieter than that, deeper than that. It's the sound of true success. It doesn't shout, it hums. It's the calm rhythm of a life built with patience, discipline, and purpose. It's the steady heartbeat of someone who no longer needs to prove anything, because they've already become everything they were meant to be. That is the sound of true success. Peace. The journey through silence. You began this journey in the quiet, when no one believed in you, when your dreams were fragile, and your confidence was untested, when progress felt invisible, and doubt whispered louder than hope. You learned that success doesn't begin with noise. It begins with stillness, with the decision to grow quietly, to endure patiently, and to trust deeply. You discovered that silence is not emptiness. It's strength gathering itself. It's wisdom being formed. It's your inner world aligning before your outer world expands. In that silence, you found discipline. You learned patience. You built focus. You protected your energy, and you mastered yourself. Now as you stand on the other side of that journey, you realize, silence was never your weakness. It was your foundation, the transformation within. The greatest success stories don't begin with opportunity. They begin with inner transformation. Before you built anything outside, you built something inside. Character. You learned to control your emotions, to stay calm in storms, to find meaning in pain, to let your results speak instead of your ego. You discovered that growth is not about adding more, it's about becoming more. You stopped chasing validation, and started pursuing mastery. You stopped needing recognition, and started creating value. That quiet transformation changed everything. Because the person you become in silence determines the success you create in the light. The real meaning of success. True success is not fame. It's not wealth. It's not status. True success is waking up in peace with who you are and what you're building. It's knowing that your actions align with your values. It's doing your work with integrity, even when no one is watching. It's being able to look at your life and say, I did it right. I grew honestly. I stayed true. Success is not found in the noise of the world. It's found in the quiet of your conscience. It's not how loudly people praise you. It's how deeply your actions serve others. When you understand that, you stop chasing success and start living it. The echo of your effort. Every silent day of effort leaves an echo. Every hour spent building, learning, failing, and trying again. It all accumulates. You may not hear it at first, but over time those echoes become something powerful. The voice of your legacy. Your effort speaks through the lives you touch. Your patience speaks through the stability you've built. Your focus speaks through the work you've created. You don't need to tell your story loudly. The results of your silent dedication will tell it for you, louder and longer than words ever could. The peace of arrival. When you finally reach your version of success, it won't feel like fireworks. It will feel like stillness, a quiet, knowing that all the waiting, the discipline and the silence were worth it. You'll look back and realize that the nights you spent working in obscurity were sacred, that the pain that once felt unbearable became your teacher, that every challenge prepared you for this moment of calm power. True success doesn't roar, it whispers. It's the peace that comes when you no longer chase, you attract. When you no longer need to prove, you simply live. It's the sound of your heart, finally moving in rhythm with your purpose, your legacy of silence. The world may never know every sacrifice you made. They may never see every hour you worked, every setback you overcame, or every doubt you silenced. But your life will show it. Your peace will show it. Your impact will show it. And those who watch you, quietly from a distance, will learn something powerful. That you don't have to be loud to be great. That you don't have to be seen to be significant. That you don't have to rush to arrive. You just have to build. Patiently, silently, purposefully. That is your legacy. The quiet builder who chose growth over glory. Who chose meaning over noise. Who chose peace over pride. The final lesson. If this book has taught you anything, let it be this. Silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of strength. It's the invisible soil where character grows, where vision takes root, and where greatness begins. The world may never understand the depth of what you've built. That's okay. You didn't build it for them. You built it for something higher. Your purpose, your peace, your truth. So as you move forward, carry this principle with you. Work quietly, grow deeply, emerge purposefully, live peacefully, because the loudest success is not the one that makes headlines. It's the one that makes harmony within. Closing words. And when all is said and done, when the work is complete, when the noise has faded, when you stand at peace with what you've created, listen again. That soft hum you hear, that calm, steady rhythm, that's the sound of true success. It's not outside of you, it's within you. It's your silence finally speaking.